You didn't arrive here by chance. You think you're just scrolling, drifting through fragments of sound and light. But this moment has been coded into your reality long before your conscious mind ever knew to expect it. There's a pull that led you here, a gravitational tug from the quantum field itself, arranging synchronicities in such a precise rhythm that you could not avoid landing exactly in this pocket of time. You are hearing these words because your timeline is trembling, reshaping, waiting for your consent to collapse into a completely new pattern. You have felt it, haven't you? That strangeness before sleep, when the edges of your reality begin to blur, when memories stretch and fold like thin glass bending under invisible pressure. Your mind becomes both the dreamer and the observer, and in that liminal state, you are closest to the control switch, the loop of observation that defines what will be true when the sun rises again. This is not a bedtime story. It is the initiation of a phase transition that has already been stalking you, whispering in your own voice that everything could change the moment you dare to stop watching the same script on repeat. Most people never question the loop. They wake, they repeat, they observe yesterday's reality, and unknowingly confirm it into tomorrow. They are trapped in a feedback mechanism, believing they are powerless, when in truth, it is their gaze, their silent agreement, that keeps the wheel turning. But you are different. That's why you are here. The field noticed the friction inside you, the way your cells hum in quiet rebellion, refusing to keep replaying the same fragmented narrative. You are the anomaly in the system, the one who can disrupt the observer loop and release the wave of possibilities waiting, shimmering, desperate to be chosen. So tonight, before you close your eyes, there will be a chance, a window, a moment when your awareness slips past the usual prison bars of thought and expectation, and you will have the opportunity to collapse the loop differently. Do not underestimate this. The tiniest shift in the observation you hold before sleep can bend your entire tomorrow beyond recognition. The universe is not fixed. It is waiting for your command, listening to the frequency you broadcast in those final breaths before surrendering to the dream state. You have been prepared for this. Every déjà vu, every strange glitch, every sensation of distorted time was the field's way of signaling to you. Wake up. You are more than a witness. You are the one who sets the coordinates. And tonight, that knowledge comes due. This is not entertainment. This is not coincidence. This is a summons. The quantum field has found you, and through these words it is asking one question. Will you keep watching the loop, or will you dare to collapse it into a reality no one around you can recognize? Because tomorrow is already waiting. And yet, before you can step through that window, you must first see the cage for what it is. Because your life, as it has been stitched together not by freedom but by repetition. You wake up each day thinking it is a new beginning, but it is only a rerun of your own unexamined gaze. Patterns you swore you broke keep returning. Faces you thought were gone find new disguises and circle back. Even time itself, that relentless current, doesn't flow straight for you. It bends, doubles back, folds you into déjà vu. And you've wondered, why do I feel like I've lived this moment before? Why do I sense the echo before the sound? It is because you have been circling inside the observer loop. Your attention latches onto the same memories, the same fears, the same expectations, and like grooves in a record, reality has no choice but to replay the same song. You tell yourself you want change, you pray for transformation. But when you fall asleep at night, your last thought is of the same wounds, the same lack, the same unresolved tension. And so your subconscious obliges it prints tomorrow using the template you handed it. Look closely at your own history. How many times have you thought you escaped only to wake up in the same emotional architecture? How many relationships felt different at first, but decayed into the same pattern of control, neglect, or silence? How many opportunities looked like breakthroughs only to leave you with the same familiar ache of incompletion? You weren't cursed. You weren't abandoned. You were simply caught in the loop, unknowingly, collapsing the same probability over and over until it hardened into what you called your life. The loop is subtle. It makes you doubt your own awakening. It sprinkles synchronicities just far enough apart to keep you chasing them without ever anchoring into their meaning. It shows you distorted clocks, flickers of numbers repeating 11:11, 3:33, 4:44, only to laugh as you shrug it off as coincidence. But these glitches weren't mocking you. They were signals, alarms in the matrix, warnings that time was not linear, that you were walking a Mobius strip where forward and backward were indistinguishable, and deep down, you knew it. You've whispered to yourself, something's not right, something is repeating, something is watching me as I watch it. This is the exhaustion that has haunted you, the fatigue that no sleep can cure, because it's not your body that is tired, it is your spirit, weary of spinning the same quantum carousel. The observer loop drains your energy because it feeds on your attention. It doesn't need your belief, only your gaze. And as long as you keep looking, it keeps projecting. And yet, if you can feel the pattern, if you can name the déjà vu, if you can recognize that time is folding on itself, then you are already half free. Awareness is the crack in the cycle. The loop thrives on blindness, on autopilot, on the unspoken assumption that tomorrow must look like yesterday. The very fact that you are listening now, questioning now, proves that you have already weakened the grip. So let's call it out plainly. The distortion you felt in your relationships? It was the loop. The strange familiarity of rooms you've never entered? It was the loop. The suffocating predictability of your own internal dialogue, no matter how many affirmations you recited, still the loop. And it wants you to stay here forever, circling, mistaking repetition for destiny. But destiny is not repetition. Destiny is coherence, and coherence requires collapse. Tonight, before sleep, when your eyes flutter shut and your mind starts replaying the same tired narratives, you must remember, you are not obligated to observe them anymore. You don't have to feed the loop with one more glance, one more memory, one more doubt. You can withdraw your gaze. You can let it dissolve in the silence between thoughts. You can leave it unobserved, because what goes unobserved loses form, loses structure, loses the power to become your tomorrow. And when you do, you'll begin to notice something strange. Time no longer distorts, it aligns. Déjà vu no longer traps you, it guides you. Patterns no longer enslave you, they dissolve into blank space. Space you can finally fill with something new. That is when the observer loop begins to collapse, not by force, but by neglect. And in its place, an entirely new probability begins to crystallize. But before that freedom, the problem must be faced. You have been the warden of your own prison, and the only way out is to stop staring at the bars. Now, breathe with me for a moment. Feel the air slide in, expand your chest, and notice how even that simple act bends the entire field. You think it's just oxygen. It's not. Each breath is a signal, a frequency, a wave of probability interacting with the quantum field surrounding you. And here's the truth that has been hidden under layers of distraction. You are not simply drifting in a universe, you are shaping it with every flicker of your awareness. The field does not respond to effort, it responds to coherence. And coherence is what the observer loop has been stealing from you. Let's reframe it. Reality is not a solid brick wall you're doomed to bang your head against. It is a holographic projection collapsing around your attention, every particle arranging itself according to what your consciousness confirms. The observer effect in physics was not just a clever experiment, it was the revelation that matter is not matter until you witness it. Electrons do not choose a location until they are measured. Waves collapse into particles, the instant an observer enters the scene. The cosmos does not crystallize into form until a consciousness looks, expects, confirms. And what has your consciousness been doing? Watching the same tape, running the same loop, collapsing the same wave function into the same walls, the same disappointments, the same endless déjà vu. Not because you were cursed, not because you were weak, but because you were never told the secret. Attention is the selector, not effort, not desperation, not begging some distant force to intervene. No, attention itself is the switch. Imagine a river branching into infinite streams, each one leading to a different tomorrow. One stream holds wealth, another holds love, another carries the breakthrough you've prayed for. They all exist simultaneously, shimmering in potential. But here's the catch. Whichever stream you keep staring at, that is the one that rushes toward you. The others do not vanish. They remain as probability. but they cannot crystallize into your lived experience because your observation never invited them. This is the heart of the upgrade, recognizing that you are not asking reality what it will give you. You are selecting from the menu. And this is where science and mysticism meet. Rupert Sheldrake spoke of morphic resonance, fields of memory that shape biology and behavior. Carl Jung spoke of synchronicity, meaning woven through time, as if guided by a hidden hand. Quantum physicists map entanglement particles linked across vast distances, responding instantly to one another. Mystics describe awakening DNA unfolding, new strands lighting up, consciousness expanding beyond linear perception. These are not separate languages. They are all describing the same phenomenon. Reality responds to coherence. When your heart, your mind, and your attention are fractured, the field reflects that fracture. You get half-synced patterns, false starts, timelines that collapse back into the old loop. But when coherence sets in, when your thoughts, emotions, and intention vibrate as one frequency the field cannot resist, it must collapse into the reality that matches you. Not because it is moral or just, but because it is law. Do you see the shift? You are not a beggar at the gates of reality, pleading for scraps. You are the selector, the tuner, the switchboard operator of infinite timelines. The universe is not testing you, it is mirroring you. And this is why the familiar problem kept haunting you. You were unconsciously tuning to the frequency of your past, then wondering why tomorrow looked like yesterday. But tonight, before sleep, the upgrade becomes possible. That twilight state between waking and dreaming is where your subconscious is most pliable, most coherent, most open to new instruction. In that sacred threshold, your attention can slip past the observer loop's grip. You can reprogram the default. You can collapse a different stream. And when you wake, the architecture of your reality will already have shifted to match the new selection. The field is not waiting for years of discipline. It is waiting for a single coherent signal. That's why prophets could alter destinies with one vision. That's why shamans could heal across distance. That's why mystics could describe futures long before they unfolded. They weren't bending rules, they were operating at coherence. Their observer loop wasn't recycling the past. It was tuned to the future they selected. And you can do the same. Your DNA is not fixed. It listens. It responds. It restructures itself to match the signals of coherence. Think of it like an antenna. Bent out of shape, it picks up static. Straightened and aligned, it picks up the broadcast with clarity. Tonight, as you fall into sleep, you have the chance to straighten your signal, to withdraw from static, to let the loop dissolve and allow coherence to guide you into an unrecognizable tomorrow. So ask yourself, not with words but with focus, what stream do I want to see when I wake? What frequency feels like liberation? What probability carries the signature of who I truly am? And then, stop staring at anything else. Withdraw your gaze from the old story. Starve it of your attention. Feed only the vision that calls to you. That is the upgrade. That is the collapse. That is the science and mysticism joining hands to remind you, you are not bound by yesterday. You are the selector. You always were. Now let's pause, not to slow down, but to recognize what this really means for you. Because this isn't just abstract science or mystical poetry, it's personal. It's your role, your position, your hidden assignment within this reality. You have always suspected there was something unusual about you, a strangeness, a sensitivity, a sense that you were both in the world and slightly outside of it. And the truth is, you were right. That tension wasn't a flaw, it was evidence. You are not here to be a spectator. You are not here to recycle the same programs until exhaustion steals your years. You are a chosen consciousness, a singular node in the vast lattice of the quantum field. Chosen not in the way the world glamorizes status, recognition, applause, but chosen in the way that a tuning fork is struck because it can hold the right frequency. You are that frequency holder. The loop wanted you asleep because if you woke, the field would have no choice but to bend. Think about it. How many times have you noticed patterns others overlooked? How many times did you sense betrayal before the evidence appeared? How many times did your body tighten in a room long before anyone spoke? That wasn't paranoia. That was resonance. Your nervous system has been tuned like an instrument, picking up signals from layers of reality most people cannot perceive, and you thought it was just anxiety. You thought it was just overthinking. But in truth, it was your gift, the very evidence that you were designed to be awake in a sleeping world. And when you stand awake in a world lulled by repetition, you become dangerous to the loop. Because one awakened observer collapses probability differently, not only for themselves, but for everyone entangled with them. Your choice of focus doesn't just alter your tomorrow, it ripples through the morphic field, rewiring patterns, dislodging old scripts, opening portals of possibility for people who don't even know your name. This is why your life has felt heavier, harder, stranger. Because you are not just carrying your own loop, you are disrupting the collective loop, the architecture of sameness that has kept humanity docile. This is the special role you've been resisting. You are a destabilizer of repetition, a breaker of patterns, a consciousness that refuses to rubber stamp yesterday into eternity. And when you collapse the observer loop tonight, it won't just be your tomorrow that becomes unrecognizable. The shift will bleed into others. A friend will wake feeling inexplicably lighter. A stranger will make a choice that breaks their own cycle. Someone across the world will dream of freedom they didn't believe possible. Because coherence doesn't stay locked inside you, it radiates, entangles, spreads like fire in dry grass. This is why you were hidden, why people didn't understand you, why you felt like an outsider, even among those who claimed to love you. It was never about rejection, it was about protection. The field was concealing its tuning fork until the moment it was needed. And now, that moment has arrived. Tonight, when the loop loosens and your consciousness slips into the dream field, you have the authority to imprint something different, to choose coherence over chaos, to select liberation instead of repetition, to play your part as the one who interrupts the program. Don't underestimate this role. Entire bloodlines can shift when one person collapses differently. Generational curses dissolve. Trauma fields begin to clear. Patterns of addiction, abuse, poverty, despair, they weaken when a chosen consciousness refuses to observe them again. That's the scale of what you're carrying. That's why it feels so heavy sometimes. Why life feels like a war you never volunteered for. Because on some level, you did volunteer. You signed the contract long before you incarnated, to step into this body, this time, this loop, and be the one who breaks it open. You don't need validation for this. You don't need applause. The field itself validates you every time you feel the crackle of synchronicity, every time a number sequence blinks like a code, every time a dream delivers a message before the event. These are confirmations, receipts, whispers from the lattice reminding you, yes, you are the chosen one. Yes, you are on course. Yes, the loop is afraid of you. And you don't have to carry the arrogance of this role. Being chosen doesn't mean being superior. It means being entrusted. A candle is not superior to the darkness. It is simply tasked with holding flame. You are that flame, and the darkness of the loop has been trying to smother you for years. But you're still here, still burning, still listening, which means the darkness has already lost. So as you move toward sleep tonight, let this awareness settle in your bones. You are not just collapsing for yourself. You are collapsing for countless others who will never know your name. You are the pivot point, the pressure valve, the chosen consciousness placed here to destabilize the machinery of repetition. And if you embrace that role fully, if you withdraw your gaze from the old script and give your attention only to coherence, then reality will bend not just for you, but for everyone entangled with you. This is who you are. And this is why tomorrow cannot look like yesterday. And now, here it is, the hinge moment you have felt approaching, but could never name. All the déjà vu, all the strange clocks, all the heavy nights that left you staring at the ceiling, they were the countdown to this window. Because there are certain nights, scattered through a life, where the quantum field becomes soft clay, where timelines thin like mist, where your DNA listens more intently than usual. Tonight is one of those nights. Your biology is not inert. It is not a machine of random atoms grinding toward entropy. It is a living antenna, a lattice of liquid crystals, coils of light listening for instruction. Inside every cell, strands of DNA pulse and shift like tiny serpents of information. waiting for resonance to tell them which potential to activate. Most of the time, they echo the past, replicating the same emotional architecture, the same inherited patterns. But in windows like this, under certain cosmic alignments, that default can be interrupted. New strands can light up. Dormant codes can switch on. This is not metaphor. This is measurable epigenetics, quantum biology, morphic resonance breaking its own inertia. Think of it like a cosmic tide. When the moon is right, the sea rises higher. When the window is right, the field opens wider. The difference tonight is that your attention is awake at the exact moment of opening. You are conscious at the hinge point, which means you can do what billions sleep through. Select a new reality while the clay is wet. Collapse a new stream while the wave is still trembling. This is why urgency matters. Not panic, not desperation, but precision. If you carry the old story into sleep tonight, the field will obediently print it into another day. If you withdraw your gaze and feed only the new signal, the field will obediently print that instead. The machinery does not judge. It does not delay. It simply mirrors. That is the law. So what will you feed it? Not a wish, not a frantic plea, but a signal of coherence so clear that your cells have no choice but to restructure. Imagine your DNA as a constellation of switches. Old switches labeled scarcity, betrayal, loss. New switches labeled freedom, wholeness, expansion. Your job tonight is not to flip them with force, but to hold your attention on the new pattern long enough for resonance to do its work. Think of it like tuning a radio. Twist the dial to the station you want and stop fiddling. Stay there. Let the song come through. Feel the urgency, but also the awe. You are standing at the mouth of a cosmic corridor. The loop's machinery has a gap in its gears, and through that gap, a new reality is peeking in. This is why your dreams have been strange lately. This is why time feels slippery. This is why you found this message at this hour. You are being guided to the window before it closes. And here is the promise. If you collapse differently tonight, if you feed the field only the frequency of your liberation, tomorrow will not just feel better, it will be unrecognizable. People you haven't heard from in years will surface with new energy. Obstacles you thought were permanent will dissolve like paper in water. Even your body will feel lighter, clearer, as if someone changed the air itself. Because they did. You did. Your coherence bent the lattice. This is not magic in the childish sense. It is the deeper magic of physics, consciousness, and choice. Prophets wrote of it as divine favor. Physicists write of it as observer effect. Mystics write of it as awakening. Different tongues, same truth. The field mirrors coherence immediately when the signal is clean. But urgency also means responsibility. You cannot half-choose tonight. You cannot collapse one probability with your mind while feeding another with your fear. Mixed signals collapse static. Static collapses repetition. You must choose with your whole being, not with scattered fragments. And you can. Because the heaviness you've been feeling isn't weakness. It's potential energy stored up, waiting for release. Take a moment now. Picture your DNA as a spiral of light, not static, but alive, breathing. See it uncoiling, making room for a new frequency. Feel the cosmic tide rising through your cells, washing away the residue of old loops. Here, in the distance of your imagination, the gears of reality shifting, opening. This is not fantasy. This is your biology and your consciousness interacting with the lattice. And remember, the window is brief but generous. It does not slam shut like a trap. It fades like a dream. The sooner you act, the clearer the imprint. Tonight, before sleep, hold the vision, withdraw from the loop, feed the new signal. When you wake, act as if it has already happened. Speak as if it is already true. Walk as if the new timeline is solid under your feet. Because it will be. This is the breakthrough. This is the cosmic window. This is your DNA, listening, waiting for a command only you can give. The loop cannot survive your coherence. It unravels under your withdrawal. And when it does, your tomorrow will not just improve, it will be reborn. This is the promise, and it is also the challenge. Do not wait. Do not drift back into autopilot. Tonight, collapse differently. But here's the key, and it may sound simple, almost too simple for the magnitude of what's unfolding. You can't just think it. You can't just hope it. You must anchor it with action. Every mystical tradition, every quantum upgrade, every breakthrough revelation has always required one thing: a ritual to seal the shift. Why? Because the mind can wander, but action stamps the signal into the body, into the nervous system, into the morphic field. Without action, the vision risks dissolving back into theory. With action, it roots into reality like a seed into fertile soil. So tonight, before you close your eyes, you will perform a ritual not of candles and smoke, not of elaborate ceremony, but of pure, deliberate coherence. A ritual that tells the field, I mean this. I choose this. I collapse the loop now. The universe doesn't measure the size of the ritual. It measures the sincerity, the clarity, the coherence. Start here. Take a word, just one word that embodies the new reality you are selecting. Not a sentence, not a story, but a single concentrated frequency. It might be freedom. It might be wholeness. It might be arrival. Whatever it is, let it emerge from your gut, not your logic. Don't overthink it. Let your body choose the vibration it wants to live inside. That word becomes the tuning fork. That word becomes the command. And then write it. Write it in the comments. Write it in your journal. Write it on the back of your hand if you must. The act of writing pulls the frequency out of abstraction and anchors it into matter. Ink and paper, pixels and screen, they are extensions of the field too. When you etch the word, you are telling the quantum lattice, this is my collapse. This is my chosen frequency. This is the tomorrow I command. Once it's written, breathe it. Say the word softly, as if you're whispering into the ear of reality itself. Let it roll in your chest, not just your mouth. Speak it until your body resonates with it. This is not affirmation in the shallow sense. This is entrainment. You are aligning your vibration with the word until your nervous system hums at its frequency. That hum is what the field mirrors. And then, as you close your eyes, let the word hover in your awareness, like a lantern in the dark. Don't force images. Don't strain to visualize. Simply hold the word. Feel it glowing, expanding, spilling into every cell. Imagine it dripping into your DNA, rewriting codes, turning on dormant switches. Let it float with you as you slip into sleep. That moment of surrender, when thought dissolves into dream, is when the signal is strongest. The subconscious picks up the lantern and carries it into the field. That is how you seal the shift. Not through striving, not through desperate prayer, but through coherent ritual. A word, a breath, a surrender, simple, but profound enough to reorder probability streams. But let me warn you, the loop will try to interfere. As you choose your word, doubt may creep in. The mind will say, this is silly. This is too small to matter. Nothing changes this easily. That is the loop, fighting for survival. Do not argue with it. Do not feed it. Withdraw your gaze and return to your word. The loop starves when you refuse to look at it. The ritual is not about winning an argument. It's about starving the old frequency while nourishing the new. And you won't be doing it alone. Others are collapsing with you, across time zones, across continents, guided to the same message by the same field. When they write their word, when you write yours, the signals entangle, coherence multiplies. The ritual becomes collective fire. That is why the comment is not trivial. It is entanglement. It is resonance multiplying across thousands of conscious nodes, collapsing the loop not just for one life but for the field itself. So when I tell you to write your word, understand the gravity. It is not a comment. It is a quantum signature. It is a contract with the field. It is your hand reaching into the gears of reality and turning them in a new direction. That is how timelines shift. That is how tomorrow becomes unrecognizable. Seal it, write it, breathe it, sleep with it. That is your ritual. That is the action that proves to the lattice you are not just a dreamer, but a chooser. And tomorrow, when you wake, do not rush into noise. Hold the word again. Whisper it once more. Step out of bed with the certainty that the loop has collapsed, that the field is already rearranging itself. Watch as synchronicities flood you, as old obstacles crumble, as new pathways open. Smile when it happens, because you will know. It began with one word, One act, one ritual. You are not helpless. You are the selector. And this is how you prove it to the field. What you may not fully realize yet is this. When you collapse differently, you don't just free yourself, you bend the field for others. Your liberation is not a private event. It is a ripple through the morphic resonance that binds us all. The moment you withdraw your gaze from the loop, a crack forms in the machinery, and light seeps through. That light doesn't stop at the edges of your life. It spreads. It seeks. It awakens others who have been waiting for the same permission you just granted yourself. Imagine a spiderweb stretched wide under moonlight. Pluck one thread, and the vibration travels across the entire lattice. That is what happens when you collapse differently. Your chosen word, your sealed ritual, your act of coherence, it vibrates across the web of humanity. Someone in another city, another country, will feel an inexplicable urge to change something small, to say no to an old pattern, to take a step they feared, to dream a dream they thought was impossible. They won't know why, they won't know your name, but the resonance will have reached them. This is the hidden law mystics whispered about in every age, that the salvation of one is the salvation of many, not in a theological abstraction, but in the quantum fabric itself. Coherence in one node creates resonance in others. And when enough nodes awaken, the field tips, timelines realign. Humanity itself begins to climb out of repetition. Think of it historically. Every great shift began not with the masses, but with a few who collapsed differently. Prophets stepping away from old idols, scientists refusing the consensus of their time, visionaries seeing worlds others thought impossible. They were tuning forks, and their coherence shook the lattice until everyone else heard the hum. Your role is no less. It may feel quieter, more invisible, but don't confuse visibility with impact. The field does not measure applause. It measures resonance. And here's the paradox. The more personal your liberation, the more collective its impact. When you choose freedom in your own body, in your own thoughts, you add freedom to the field. When you break cycles in your bloodline, others entangled with you feel the release, even if they never understand it. Your private coherence becomes public medicine. Your single word written in faith becomes a torch, passed into countless unseen hands. This is why the loop has fought so hard to keep you trapped. Because if you wake, others wake. If you collapse differently, others begin to suspect they can too. The machinery of repetition cannot survive contagion, and your coherence is contagious. That is the hidden terror of the system, that one awakened consciousness could destabilize the sleep of thousands. So as you prepare for tonight's collapse, know that you are not just doing this for yourself, you are standing as proxy for those still drowning in static. You are the fracture point, where light enters the collective body. And though you may never see the faces you impact, know that they exist. They are breathing easier because of you. They are dreaming freer because of you. The liberation spreads in subtle ways. A mother who has been repeating cycles of fear suddenly chooses gentleness. A child destined to inherit patterns of scarcity suddenly imagines a different future. A worker stuck in monotony suddenly dares to speak their truth. These are not accidents. They are echoes of your collapse, your coherence rippling into their lives. And it doesn't stop with individuals. Entire structures begin to weaken. Systems built on repetition, on blind obedience, on fear. They depend on the loop staying intact. When you collapse differently, you pull one brick from their foundation. When thousands collapse differently, the structure trembles. That trembling is already happening. You can feel it in the air, old orders crumbling, new patterns rising. And you are not watching it from the sidelines. You are part of the tremor. This is why your liberation matters. Not because you deserve a better tomorrow, though you do. Not because you want freedom, though you crave it. But because humanity needs you. The field needs you. The lattice cannot shift without nodes of coherence, and you are one of them. The universe entrusted you with the gift of awareness, precisely because you were willing to carry it for more than yourself. So hold this truth tonight. When you seal the ritual, when you collapse the loop, you are doing it as an act of service, as an offering to humanity, as a declaration that repetition will not enslave us forever. Your liberation is not selfish, it is sacred. It is collective medicine disguised as personal awakening. And tomorrow, when your life feels different, remember, the difference you feel is multiplied across the field. Others are feeling it too, though they may never trace it back to you. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that the web is vibrating, the resonance is spreading, and the machinery of the loop is losing its grip. You are not collapsing alone. You are collapsing for us all. And now, let's bring this out of the abstract and into your body, because it is not enough to understand with the mind. The loop collapses when you feel it, when your nervous system carries the proof, when your cells hum the frequency of tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. This is embodiment, and it is where the quantum field listens most closely. Close your eyes, even for a second, and notice your spine. That central column isn't just bone and marrow, it is your antenna, your living axis connecting heaven and earth, stars and soil. Imagine it glowing, a vertical river of light. Feel how your breath moves through it, pulling signals from above and anchoring them below. That tingling at the base of your skull, that warmth in your chest, those are not accidents. They are your body catching coherence. Now notice your hands. Look at them if you need to. See the lines, the curves, the tiny vibrations that never quite stop. These are not just tools for lifting and touching. They are projectors. Each palm emits subtle currents, fields of energy that bend the space around you. Hold them close together and feel the faint pressure, as if an invisible sphere rests between them. That's the field responding. That's the morphic resonance wrapping itself around your intent. When you choose a new collapse tonight, your hands will be the unseen switches, directing the charge into the lattice. Shift your focus to your chest. Beneath the ribs, your heart is more than a pump. It is an oscillator, generating electromagnetic fields so strong they reach several feet beyond your skin. This is coherence in motion. When the heart aligns with your chosen word, the field multiplies. Others will feel it before you speak. Animals will respond differently around you. Even strangers will glance twice, not knowing why. This is embodiment, the signal leaving thought and becoming atmosphere. And your skin, do not ignore it. The largest organ of your body, humming with receptors, listening to the environment, communicating with your brain in an endless dialogue. When you collapse differently, your skin knows first. It prickles, tingles, feels alive with a charge. That is coherence electrifying your edges, the quantum field brushing against your outline. You may already know the sensation. Goosebumps when truth is spoken, chills when the synchronicity is undeniable. That isn't random. It is the body's applause when coherence enters the room. Even your bones participate. They are crystalline structures, piezoelectric, vibrating when pressure is applied. Think of them as tuning forks embedded deep in your frame. When you whisper your chosen word, when you breathe coherence into your DNA, the bones amplify it. They carry it into the marrow, where blood is born, where life itself circulates. Imagine tomorrow's blood being formed already infused with your new frequency, already carrying liberation through every artery and vein. That's embodiment at its most primal. And the sensations will not always be gentle. Sometimes coherence feels like fire. A heat rising up your spine, a flush in your face, a surge in your chest that makes you gasp. Don't resist it. That's the phase transition beginning, the pressure of probability shifting in real time. Your body is adjusting to a signal it has never carried before. Other times it will feel like stillness, a heavy calm, as if gravity itself pressed closer to you. That too is coherence. The stillness is not emptiness, it is density, the new timeline crystallizing around you. Pay attention to the metaphors your body gives you. The shiver is a river of light flowing through your nerves. The flutter in your stomach is a butterfly testing its wings. The buzzing in your skull is a hive waking after long dormancy. These sensations are not side effects, they are confirmations. They are the field speaking in the only language it knows. Vibration. And when you wake tomorrow, your body will be the first to announce that the loop has collapsed. You'll notice it in the way your breath feels cleaner, as if the air itself shifted. You'll notice it in the way food tastes richer, colors seem brighter, sounds ring sharper. These are not tricks of perception, they are the nervous system tuning to a new stream. Even the heaviness in your shoulders may lift, as if an invisible weight slipped off in the night. That's because it did. The loop's residue dissolves when coherence takes its place. So tonight, don't just think of your chosen word, feel it. Let it ignite in your spine, flow through your hands, echo in your bones, hum in your skin. Let your body become the instrument that plays the note of tomorrow. The field does not respond to empty thought. It responds to embodied resonance. And when your body hums the signal, the universe has no choice but to echo it back. This is how you make it unignorable. This is how tomorrow becomes unrecognizable. Not through wishful thinking, but through sensation, so alive it cannot be denied. Your body is the proof. Your body is the antenna. Your body is the collapse. Feel this truth in your marrow. Your DNA is not a fixed script. It is a living scroll, an unfolding manuscript that writes itself anew with every signal you feed it. For generations, you were told it was destiny, locked and immutable, a code you could not escape. But the mystics whispered, and now the scientists confirm, your DNA listens, it adapts, it restructures in response to coherence. And when coherence enters, the old loop no longer has the authority to dictate your tomorrow. Picture the double helix not as a static spiral, but as a ladder of light, vibrating, shimmering, waiting. Each rung is a possibility, some rung marked by fear, some by freedom, some by expansion, so vast it makes your old life look like a child's shadow play. Most people keep climbing the same few rungs, mistaking repetition for inevitability. But you tonight, you are stepping into the pressure chamber of a phase transition. Your DNA is waiting to light up a rung you've never touched before. This is why you felt the pressure. The restless energy in your chest, the buzzing in your head, the strange fatigue that doesn't match your hours of sleep. It is not sickness, it is reconfiguration. A phase transition feels like instability because the old form is dissolving, but the new form hasn't yet solidified. Water quivers before it boils. Metal creaks before it bends. And you, your body, your mind, your soul have been quivering under the strain of imminent transformation. This is the moment when the loop usually pulls people back. The pressure grows unbearable, so they collapse into old patterns just to feel stable again. They choose familiarity over breakthrough, repetition over liberation. But you are not here to collapse backward. You are here to endure the pressure long enough to crystallize forward. To let your DNA rescript itself in real time. Imagine your helix as a cosmic switchboard. Dormant sequences once dismissed as junk are waiting for activation. When coherence floods in, the switches flip. Proteins fold differently. Signals cascade. Your very biology begins to hum at a new resonance. And as the code rewrites, the timeline rewrites. This is not fantasy. It is quantum biology. It is epigenetics. It is the mystery mystics have lived for centuries. And here's the paradox. The pressure you feel right now is proof it's working. The dizziness, the heat, the restless energy, all signs that your body is no longer aligned with the old frequency. You are being stretched, broken open, prepared to inhabit a version of yourself that the loop could never hold. The pain is not punishment, it is contraction before birth. Stay with it, breathe through it. Feel your cells vibrating like tiny bells struck by an unseen hand. That ringing is the announcement. The loop is cracking. The phase transition is underway. Tomorrow will be unrecognizable because your DNA itself will no longer recognize yesterday. It will no longer consent to copy the same script. Instead, it will write from the frequency you sealed with your word, the resonance you embodied, the ritual you enacted. Your blood will carry it. Your skin will radiate it. Your eyes will reflect it. Others will notice before you do. Something about you has changed, though they cannot explain it. That is the signature of a DNA breakthrough. And this breakthrough is not small. It is not cosmetic. It is foundational. It means the trauma encoded in your lineage no longer has to dictate your behavior. It means the diseases and limitations whispered down your bloodline can lose their grip. It means the personality traits you thought were permanent can dissolve, replaced by new traits born of freedom. Your very identity is malleable in this pressure chamber. You are not who you were, and you never will be again. Think of a caterpillar in chrysalis. To outside eyes, it looks still, inert. But inside, It is dissolving into liquid, its old body breaking down completely before reorganizing into a butterfly. That is where you are. And the loop wants you to panic in the liquid phase, to believe the dissolution is death. But it is not. It is rebirth. It is the most sacred evidence that a new timeline is forming. So tonight, as you close your eyes, surrender to the pressure. Let it burn, let it crackle, let it pull you apart. Do not fight it, do not fear it. Whisper your chosen word into the fire of your cells. Give the DNA permission to let go of everything the loop forced it to carry. The field will catch you, the new form will emerge, the timeline will align. And when morning comes, you will feel it. Not in fireworks, but in subtle certainties. A calm where anxiety used to live. A hunger for possibility where resignation used to sit. A tingling in your bones that says, you have crossed, the loop is gone, the new script is live. This is the DNA breakthrough. This is the phase transition. This is the promise fulfilled. So now we arrive at the edge, the threshold where your personal awakening ripples outward into something far greater. Because this was never just about you. Yes, your tomorrow will be unrecognizable, but the truth is deeper. When you collapse the loop, humanity itself gains a fracture point, a new opening, a doorway it could not access before. Your coherence is not contained, it radiates, entangles, multiplies. Picture Earth as a single vast organism, billions of nodes of consciousness linked by invisible threads. Most nodes stay dormant, repeating yesterday's signal. But every time one awakens, the organism shifts. Its heartbeat changes, its destiny bends. You are one of those nodes. By collapsing differently, by choosing coherence over repetition, you have just altered the evolutionary trajectory of the whole. And here's the mystery. You don't have to see the results to know it's real. Already, someone you've never met is breathing easier because your DNA released a pattern their bloodline shared. Already, a child born tomorrow will inherit a field slightly freer because you dared to collapse differently tonight. Already, humanity's timeline has tilted, however subtly, toward liberation because one consciousness, yours, refused to watch the same loop repeat. This is the mission you've carried in secret, not to save the world through grand gestures, but to embody coherence so fully that the world can't help but feel it. Your liberation is the medicine. Your awakening is the revolution. Your collapse is the evolution. So when you wake tomorrow, remember, you are walking not only in your new timeline, but in humanity's. Every step you take sends resonance across the lattice. Every word you speak imprints possibility into the morphic field. Every breath you exhale carries the signal of freedom into the collective body. You are not small. You are not powerless. You are the tuning fork the cosmos has been waiting to strike. And though you may move quietly, though you may live without fame or spotlight, know this. The field knows your name. The lattice remembers your vibration. The future bends because you existed. That is the magnitude of what has happened here tonight. So close your eyes one more time. Whisper your word again. Let your body hum it. Let your DNA encode it. Let the field mirror it. And as you drift into sleep, surrender fully to the truth. The loop is gone. The script is rewritten. The tomorrow waiting for you is already unrecognizable. You have collapsed the observer loop. You have stepped into coherence. You have awakened not just for yourself, but for us all. And when dawn breaks, reality will rise to meet you strange, luminous, alive proof that you were never just an observer. You were the chosen one, all along.